Les Mis.
We're gonna do this whole thing in song, but we're not grungy enough. We all showered.
But here's the thing: if you're gonna do the intro to Les Mis in song, I don't think that shot is tight enough.
Right, it should be from the clavicles up.
Right.
I need to like shear all my hair off and become a prostitute all of a sudden because I need the money.
And be spinning around and around and around.
For actual money this time. It's very belle de jour. Hugh Jackman is Jean Valjean, prisoner number 24601. Please sing. 24601. Come on, it's been in my head for like a month now. It's driving me effing insane. So Jean Valjean breaks his parole, becomes a prosperous and pious man. 10 francs will save my poor Cosette. We're going to talk about the movie eventually, I swear.
We have not been drinking yet either.
No.
I might have had some cough medicine. Seen this musical and or like it. I think knowing the music going in is helpful.
I'm sure it is.
I did know the musical.
Yeah, right.
And it didn't help.
Okay, so why? Because you liked it?
You didn't just like it; you really liked it. Like you saw the show and was like, "Oh, this is fantastic."
I enjoy. Yeah, I mean, I didn't buy the cast album or anything, but yeah, I mean, I saw the show. I thought it was effective. There were some good songs in it. You know,
That I'll ease into the fact that I can't bear these tight shots of people singing, and I think many others won't be able to bear.
Well, you don't like musicals anyway.
No, I like plenty of musicals.
No, you don't.
Totally, no, completely.
Name me a musical that you like.
I can't. I like
You're
Chicago.
a disgrace to TCM.
I mean, there's plenty.
He likes West Side Story, I swear.
But I do. I love, Royal Wedding. I listen.
Singing in the Rain.
But it helps a little. I love Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. I like, but they gotta. But this is different.
And as I said, the spectacle of it really worked for me, and then it lost me.
What turned me off early on is that they take these characters and render them as such like, boo, I'm being suffering and people are
they're miserable.
I know they're miserable.
Hence the title.
I know that, and which is fine. But I'm saying, it is almost a sense of masochism of like, there's so much noble suffering. Oh, poor Jean Valjean, mistreated by the law, and oh, Fantine, clutching her breast and dying gracefully, but not before belting out a big song. You know, it felt like, oh, poor us, suffer, 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 and that's not what Victor Hugo was writing about. But
So we take our jobs very, very seriously, and we take our responsibility to you very, very seriously. So we all went out and spent good money this week on matinees of Dirty Grandpa, which did not screen for critics before opening day last week. We were all complete losers sitting by ourselves in the middle of the day watching Dirty Grandpa. Ben, please describe to us a very complicated plot of Dirty Grandpa.
I did not see a Dirty Grandpa matinee.
Oh, you spent full price on it?
I spent the full price seat, $10.40.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Was
Century
anybody
City.
there?
Yeah, there were about 25 people in the theater, and they kind of laughed. Now maybe that's hey, it's 10:40, we're going to see Dirty Grandpa.
They had drinks.
But I found their laughter disturbing. There is there's one funny scene in Dirty Grandpa, which is the last scene.
Yes.
And it's this is the story of essentially Robert De Niro playing basically the same character that he played in Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers. But he has a different family now.
it's a wacky misunderstanding.
It's a wacky Three's Company-like misunderstanding about child abuse.
This movie made me realize that you've got to be so smart if you're going to try and be this tasteless.
That's
you
right.
know,
Yeah.
I look at the sort of the Mel Brooks standards, you know, where he said that, you know, the Blazing Saddles rises beneath vulgarity. You know,
That's right.
This movie never gets to beneath vulgarity. It just pitches a tent in vulgarity and starts a campfire and opens the cooler and stays there the whole time.
Yeah.
And I will say this, the Jason Mantzoukas scenes are funny.
Kinda.
This is the character Jason Mantzoukas always plays now.
The wacky friend.
Yeah, and he just shows up everywhere inexplicably. He's running the Flex contest, and he is, I suppose, I mean, you know, I love her, and Aubrey Plaza has some moments, but mostly, you know, you just feel sad for her.
I felt bad for her.
I felt bad for everybody, and I was baffled.
Although real quick, she's that scene is the end of the movie.
Yes.
The only funny scene is because of her.
There is one scene at the end.
This movie is getting trashed left and right by people who
Deservedly
thought,
so.
Somewhat. I think there's this thing that happens around late June when critics who have to see every single blockbuster out there, they don't get to pick and choose like a lot of audience members. I think we hit this sort of malaise where just one stupid blockbuster after another. This is like a dumb episode of Thundercats, and I think it appeals on that same level.
May I high five you right
Thank you.
now?
The multitude of pop culture references that just came out of Bib's
It's
mouth.
literally the plot of the cartoon series Robotech, the Macross Saga. It's literally the same plot. If the planes transformed into giant robot guys, it would be the same thing. You could have called it Robotech and gotten away with it.
Let's talk about flimsy love interests.
Dave, so basically, Bibbs and I are going to check out now, and Dave's going to
fine.
talk to you guys for a bit. Please go ahead.
All right. Flimsy love interests. Charlotte Gainsbourg and Jeff Goldblum. They love each other. The movie shows you this.
They get to kiss.
They get to make a little kiss near the end. What's his face? The tall one, the Hemsworth.
Hemsworth gets
Liam Hemsworth, that one.
Name that Hemsworth.
And Micah Monroe from It Follows. They're in love.
They're engaged.
Those people get to express that love. So, there's a gay couple in this film, and as the panel homosexual, I would like to discuss them for a moment. They are played by John Story and Brent Spiner, who were both in the original Independence Day. They were scientists, brilliant scientists. Well, what you didn't know in the original Independence Day, because the original Independence Day didn't know this either, is that they were a couple. When Alonso came home from this movie, he saw it before I did. I said, "So there's a gay couple in this film?" He goes, "What?" And the other night, you and I were talking about it, and I said, "I'm kind of enraged about the gay couple in this film." And you said, "What gay couple?"
Because there's not one, right?
You get
He knitted him a scarf. Of course they're gay. Like, that's the only other cue. It's the only other cue.
You get a swallowed babe from both of them. Well, here's what happens when he wakes up from the coma. John Story says, "Hey, you're awake." If the man I love, Alonso Duralde, who is not here but in the Czech Republic right now, if he was in a 20-year coma and he woke up from the 20-year coma, I might say something else other than, "Hey, you're awake." And here's what happens when he dies. Brent Spiner leans over him and says, "Oh no, who's going to water the orchids?" And John, because they're gay. And John Story says, "Oh no, who's going to help you, forgetful professor scientist man, to put on some pants?"
Like, this caters to these hugely underserved audiences as far as big mainstream films go. It's very canny, I think, in that regard.
But without being any good, of course, is the problem.
No, it's not good.
No, my partner grew up among evangelicals, and he was saying that he's not even sure that they're going to like it so much because there's, premarital sex, there's cursing, and I was kind of surprised at how little gospel there is in this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of pop music.
There's a lot of
gospel
in robes, but like not a lot of gospel, which I thought.
And then sort of in the big final number, and believe me, I'm not giving anything away here, the whole point is they like shed the robes and get sexy.
Yeah.
The problem is it's horrible and unwatchable, and there are moment after moment in this, aside from something that I heard you mention before, in this movie that is way too long, it feels like there are giant chunks missing.
Yeah.
Because they just jump from thing to thing to thing. There's a huge fight between the white kid who comes in to sort of save the day and Queen Latifah, and she throws him out of the house, and then bang, the next scene, they're on a banister together, sort of watching the competition. Oh, where did they get? Like, there's no.
Yeah, the Queen Latifah and her daughter have a big argument, and the daughter's like, "You don't think you're she's telling Latifah, "You don't think you're attractive." It's like, when was this mentioned?
When did this
ever?
Right, all of a sudden, right, yeah. So
and like they go to a competition, and then you don't see them sing. I mean, just crazy, choppy stuff going on.
Yeah, and then the last thing of the part of the credits at the beginning of the movie is it's like this is with Chris Christopherson, and it's like, man, it's like Chris Christopherson is not in this movie. It's like they had him from 1 to 3:30 on a Thursday, and they do his
drops dead before the end of the credits.
He doesn't
count as a spoiler.
Doesn't have a line. He doesn't have a line. He's sort of like,
But then he comes back for this like interminable
Oh my God.
fantasy
I can't even-
duet
I
from
can't
the
even
dead.
talk
It's
about it without
painful.
cringing.
It keeps
nothing.
I
It's just
thought
like,
it was for Dad for a little bit, maybe.
No, I did too. I didn't understand. I was
I
like,
didn't know.
is there a cousin? Like, what the hell's going on?
Like, there are whole chapters of this film that are missing somewhere, and it doesn't come together at all.
And I couldn't watch this movie. It's terrible.
One last thing,
Terrible.
the chick who has sex with a guy and kills him. That's all I'm gonna say.
Totally, yeah. And
It's played for laughs.
It's played for laughs. It's not funny at all. Oh
All
my.
right, we should do numbers. We've trashed this movie
Yeah.
sufficiently. We should do numbers. I can't remember.
What, a 2.5? I
Yes,
think.
the Alonso's
2.5,
I
yeah.
gave it a 2.3 apparently.
Yeah, I give it a 1, and I feel generous.
The big cheat for this is they get to stay in hotels along the way. That's totally cheating. They should be in their tents the whole time, shouldn't they?
I think you can
There
do.
is some tenting.
There's mostly tenting,
There's
but
brief tenting.
occasionally when you come to a town, and I like that part of it. That part seems to me, hey, we're walking this. We're walking 2,200 miles. If there happens to be a hotel a mile off the trail, we're gonna go and we're gonna shower and we're gonna do our laundry and then, like, I got no beef with that.
You're okay with that?
Yeah, I'm
All right.
totally.
I
I'm
want more
100
hardcore
Right.
old man camping.
But they're mostly
No.
camping and they're carrying backpacks.
Ben would go glamping.
Yes.
Oh my
Ben
God, I
wouldn't even
wouldn't-
set
I
foot on the
wouldn't-
trail in the
I
first
wouldn't,
place.
I wouldn't go on the trail in the first place. I wouldn't go for a day.
Yeah, it's far.
You might fly over it.
So what?
It's very gentle, though. We talk sometimes, Alonso likes to mention this, a movie to bring your grandma to. Here's a movie to bring your grandma to. It's Labor Day weekend. It's dumping ground weekend for everything that did not get released
It's a
throughout
movie
the
to take
summer.
your grandma to if you don't love your grandma.
Right, fuck that. Take your grandma, believe me, take your grandma to Straight Outta Compton.
and or Transporter.
Yeah, it's not Nolte's fault.
Right.
Right. It's
Right.
just that he
Script's
isn't Newman and Newman with Redford. You
Right.
know, which is a thing by itself.
Right.
It's a little bit like what happened to At the Movies. Like,
Aw.
no, but I mean, like,
Which version, Ben?
I mean, two people sitting around talking about movies that, like, first of all, it took Roger and Gene forever to develop their chemistry, and they were a thing. And when you remove someone from it, you know, maybe it succeeded significantly enough with Richard. But there was a constant there that needed to be there, and that constant was Roger. And I think, you know, we have some experience.
We
knowing that
know a
it
thing or
might
two about this.
Might not work well without Roger.
Comedy. They're just warming up and you're starting to laugh and the big laughs are coming later. And for me, this was 85 minutes of the first 5 minutes of a comedy. Like, I was laughing, but it wasn't really hitting home the way that it could have. Now, mind you, The Lonely Island, the last time they got to do a movie was 2007's Hot Rod, and I loved that film.
I don't remember.
I loved it when it came out. Like, that's a movie that people are now sort of retroactively deciding it was funny. That was a great comedy. And it did the same sort of weird scattershot things like, why is Ebenezer Scrooge in this scene? But at the same time, it actually bothered to sort of put together characters and events and things that happened. So
I would argue that there is legitimate structure to this movie. It's his downfall. He's totally peaked. He's everywhere. He's at the top of his game. And then he releases this album that is terrible. I mean, hilariously terrible, but terrible. And it's how this guy who had everything way too young now has to figure out what to do when your career is falling apart. So I would argue that there is a legitimate structure to it.
that's a theme, though. That's
No,
not a
it
plot.
happens. No, it gets worse and worse and worse. Like
So Christy, you gave it. What's your number?
8.3.
So
is
what
my
I'm wondering
number.
is
Yes.
what I'm like. You came out and you were like, I laughed my ass off. I laughed from start to finish.
Yes.
It is a comedy.
Yeah.
Why isn't that a 9.4? I mean, what do they have to do
Well-
in a comedy to make it?
Yeah, Christy.
Yeah, Christy, defend
Christy.
yourself.
I was
bitch.
going to hammer Matt. I was going
Hammer
to,
me,
but
please.
Matt was like, yeah, I agree. The structure's not right.
Okay, here's what I'll say. It lags a little bit in the beginning of the third act before it like builds back up again to its big climax. And as I mentioned a little bit ago, like you've got Bill Hader and he doesn't get enough to do. Maya Rudolph. I would say these people who are hugely talented that I love. You get tantalizing little bits of them.
I love
Justin Timberlake. I would like more of him.
I love that Ben has become every commenter who has not seen a movie and yet picks apart
your
our
number?
reviews.
No, I'm not picking apart the review. I'm wondering whether our standards are whether our
This is a review mockumentary, y'all.
Right. But no, do our standards
Our
for
numbers are
comedy,
really
or is
high.
it too hard? Like, are we
No.
harder
No.
on great comedies than we are on great dramas? Are we? Is it easier for us to say 9.4 on a drama than it is on a comedy?
Great comedy is super hard, yeah. But I'm saying that it's so good that there's stuff I wanted more of.
All right.
I will
That's a
tell you,
weakness
for
to
me, part of it is I may be quoting bits of the songs, but I'm not quoting any of the lines of the movie.